Welcome to the fifth section of the Mastering PrimeFaces video series. In this section, we'll take a look at the PrimeFaces dialogs and how we can use them to enhance the usability of our applications. We'll also delve into the PrimeFaces dialog framework, which enables one to develop dialogs using Java code. Let's get started. In video 5.1, we will introduce the dialog component as well as create a dialog that contains some simple text. We will then take a look at some of the advanced attributes that can be used with the dialog component. The dialog component itself is simple. It is a component that can contain just about any other component, including entire application views. The dialog component is oftentimes used to display information such as helpful text pertaining to a particular application section, or perhaps some information that requires a yes/no decision from the user prior to proceeding. If you look at the PrimeFaces showcase, the dialog is very basic. It can become modal, and it can also utilize an animation for when it appears on screen or when it is closed. In this section, we will create a simple dialog and take a look at some of the attributes that can be applied to the dialog. To get started, let's open up our IDE and let's go ahead and open the template.xhtml page of the Prime Auto Sales application. What we're going to do is create a simple dialog that displays some basic text in this section. In the long run, we will change this dialog so that it can be used to display a poll for obtaining information that can help our company learn more about our customers' buying requirements. Add a P dialog tag to the top of our template and add it directly under the body tag. It is important where we position our dialogs because if they reside within other elements on the page, then the identifier may change, as it would need to include the prefix of its parent element. Adding to the top level of the view is safe, so we can refer to it by the name only. The pdialog component itself is a container of sorts. Therefore, it will not display anything on its own. We will also need to add a button or a link to open and display the dialog. Let's add an ID of poll dialog to the dialog component, as well as a widget var of poll dialog. The widget var will be used to reference the dialog from our button or link. Inside of the opening and closing P dialog tags, let's simply put the text, "Here's our poll" for now. That's it for the dialog. Let's add the command button component and make its type button. Specify the onClick attribute and set it to PF poll dialog. Now let's take a short aside to look at that syntax that we just applied to our command button component. The PF indicates that we're binding into the PrimeFaces JavaScript framework. Here, we're calling upon our poll dialog, which is registered to the JavaScript framework via the widget var. Set the value of the poll for our button, and now let's run the application. Note that when we push the button, the dialog displays in the middle of the screen, which is good. However, it's not very predominant. It almost blends into the site. This is because we can actually still interact with the other components on the page, even with the dialog displayed. We can change this behavior by specifying the modal attribute of the dialog. Go back to the view and specify the modal equals true attribute and try again. Now, when we rerun the application, you can see that when the dialog is invoked, nothing else can be touched until it is closed. It also stands out much better as the background is now shaded. Up to this point, we've worked with the minimal attributes on the component. Let's go to the IDE and invoke the autocomplete on the component so that we can see some of the other attributes that are available for use. There are many attributes, as you can see. We can make the dialog unclosable by specifying false for the closable attribute. We can also make the escape key close the dialog by specifying the close on escape attribute. The dynamic attribute specifies whether or not the body of the dialog should be loaded before it is displayed. Also, all the standard positioning and size attributes are available for use. For fun, let's add some nice show and hide effects to this simple dialog. The effects can be blind, bounce, clip, drop, explode, fade, fold, highlight, puff, pulsate, scale, shake, size, slide, and transfer. Try adding one or two of these effects to the show effect and hide effect attributes and run the application to see them. That ends the first video on the PrimeFaces dialog. To this point, we've not even looked at the Java code whatsoever when it comes to the dialog. We can do quite a bit with the dialog without even touching the back end. However, in the next section, we'll take a look at using the dialog framework to invoke and customize dialogs from within our Java code rather than in the views.